There is a popular saying that until the lion produces its own historians, the story of the hunt will always be told to glorify the hunter. In Cameroon, it is often said that a snake seen by one person is described as a python. This is evident in the conflict in Northwest and Southwest region. As of 2016, the teachers and the lawyers, alongside the government of Cameroon, produced their own historians to tell the story from their different perspectives. When the war moved into a full-blown when the conflict moved into a full-blown war, both sides produced a different barrage of historians, this time professional historians, to sing the song of "We are winning fatly. We are almost there. We are just to cross the finish line." You will hear others will tell you that they will tell you that the war is over. Calm is returning. We have only a few pockets of resistance in North and Southwest region of the country. Yet, the reality is different on the field. We keep seeing men and women, children being killed on a regular basis in the trouble-hit regions of the country. Cameroonians, to be more precise, are losing their lives every day, either being killed by Camp A or Camp B or by natural causes due to the war in the Northwest and to the Southwest region of the country. A recent scenario was that in Kumba, where a teacher was killed. He was the chief of center in one of the centers in Kumba, presiding over the Cameroon's General Certificate of Education. In Limbe on Saturday, hundreds of mourners came out massively to bid farewell to one of the slain divisional delegates that was killed in Dian Division, among the 6 divisional delegates kidnapped in the month of June. These are among other things that we experience in the Northwest and the Southwest region. How long shall we continue to count the number of those killed as far as this conflict is concerned? How long shall we continue to count the number of those injured, critically wounded, kidnapped in the Northwest and the Southwest region? A chief in the Northwest region died in the hands of the captors. How long shall we continue to decry this? Is it not time for us Cameroonians to keep aside our differences and focus on what unites us more than what divides us? Is it not time for us to look at each other and say, let us look for peace, for peace has no price? These are just things that Cameroonians need to look into in order to see that the war comes to an end. With all the cacophony in the Northwest and the Southwest region, it catapults us to look at the conflict, the war in the Northwest and Southwest region. Anglophone and Francophone scholars, do they view things from the same prism? Can they provide meaningful solution in the conflict? We are talking about the scholars. Why are they silent? If not, what are they saying as far as bringing peace in the trouble-hit region is concerned? I borrow from the lyrics of Cameroon anthem. Land of promise, land of glory, thou of life and joy our only store. Thy the honor, thy devotion, and deep endowment forevermore. And deep endowment forevermore. This is House of Commons. We meet Tamai Jarvis. He is the father of Confederation, and he is described as one of the most liberal as far as the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement is concerned. Someone will look at things from a different perspective and say it the way it is, not the way people think it should be said as far as the party line is concerned. He is someone that is advocating effectively for dialogue and for Anglophones to come together to see how they can resolve this conflict. He is walking in the shoes of late His Eminent Christian Cardinal Tumi, and believe that it is that until Anglophones come together and speak with one voice, we shall continue to be dancing the same dance we are dancing. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, a privilege to have you. Happy Sunday.
Thank you very much, Jarvis, and happy Sunday to all our listeners. Thank you very much for the introduction. And we're going to be saying a lot today, but at the end of the day, it looks like there's so much to deal with, but there's very little. It's an issue of truth versus lies. So where's the truth and where's the lie? If you can tell where the truth is, that's it. So if we've not been having a way through with all our problems, is because many people tell lies, you know, and it's very unfortunate because ministers tell lies, the medical doctors tell lies, we have professors who profess lies, you have gendarmes who tell lies, judges who tell lies, lawyers who tell lies, parents who tell lies, children who tell lies, teachers who tell lies. So it's a culture of telling
journalists
lies.
who tell lies.
Journalists who tell lies, especially. I know I was going to say something. You know, some journalists who make baba baba.
It's a total cacophony.
Yes, it's a total cacophony. So the bottom line is, it's an issue of lies versus truth. And if you say that you are a child of God, be you Muslim or Christian, it's about the truth. And once you have known what the truth is and you go for the truth, then this Anglophone problem becomes very easy. And I don't know how else to put it. It's about lies and truth. If you know the truth and you go for it, we will solve the problem. But if we keep turning around and cooking a lot of lies and calling them whatever name, it doesn't matter how you baptize the lies, how you sugarcoat them, the problem will continue. Know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And before my father, the cardinal, went, he left me with that charge to hold on to the truth and to speak it in love, and because it's only that truth that will save us, nothing else. Thank you.
He is a civil society advocate and believes that the Cameroon people must always be firm in what they say and live by the Constitution and respect the Constitution as it is, not as it ought to be. And he has been firm in preaching for peace and unity in Cameroon with the respect of the bijura and the bicultural nature of the country, without missing his word. Ndiwum Emmanuel, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Kamer Jarvis. Good morning and thanks for renewing the confidence in me once more. Like you said a while ago, I want to align with Dr. Nick when he says truth versus lies. Indeed, that is what has put us dragging feet for so long a time. And I want to think that it is time for us to preach truth. And that truth should be preached in love and in honesty. If that truth is preached in love and in honesty, then the Anglophone problem or the war in southern Cameroon shall certainly see a way out. Without that, we will keep dancing, losing lives, having a lot of pain every day. But that is why we are here today, to contribute our quarters to see how this war can come to an end.
Vibrant, very energetic, believe in the vision of the Social Democratic Front, and those who believe that federation has the key to the conflict in the northwest and in the southwest region. He is Chi Diodene, joining us for the very first time on House of Commons. Chi Diodene, you're welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir, for having me today. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. Warm greetings to your very excellent panel. I also want to greet our televiewers and the huge family of the SDF as well. Special greetings to the national chairman, who, as the panelists who preceded me, has always stood for the value of truth. It is instructive to remember when he was at the presidency, when Cameroon Indomitable Lions won the African Nations Cup in 2017. He told President Paul Biya that, sir, this problem is a problem that you must step in personally and handle. And we cannot hold oil in our hands for too long. If you hold it, it's going to leak through your fingers. For so many years before the so-called crisis started, the chairman has been asking the question during what we call National Unity Day, that we keep talking about peace, peace, peace in Cameroon. What about the unity of Cameroon? That said, like emphasis is being laid on truth. You know, even truth itself is not, there is no unique truth. There is truth that can divide us. There is truth that can unite us. One of the truths that can divide us is the truth about the fact that because of our colonial heritage, we are so-called Francophones and so-called Anglophones. But the truth that should unite us as a people is that irrespective of being so-called Anglophones and so-called Francophones, we are first of all human beings who never made the choice of being here, or who never made the choice of who to colonize us. But we find ourselves within the contemporary world where we are supposed to live in this way. But then, now that we are together, how do we work in such a way that each and everybody feels comfortable in what we call the union and what they now call the vivre ensemble?
Okay.
I have often said that our God is a God of diversity. When you look the soil that we have, from that soil you have corn, from that soil you have beans, from that soil you have watermelon, and so many other things. But they come from one soil, so that we enjoy the greatness of our God. Our diversity is not supposed to be a problem. Our diversity is supposed to be a strength. Because as biology has proven, when you eat corn, you need fruits. So we need one another in our diverse situation. But what has gone short in our union as a people is that we have gone short of the value of love.
Okay.
I've said it time without number. People will think that politics is what they call in French la politique politicien, politics for its own sake, politics to come for power for its own sake. There are values, and when the president of this country came to power, he talked about rigor and moralization. That is to tell you that the nation is supposed to be built on sacrosanct principles. And I want to say here very firmly that we need to come back on such moral values and make sure that we are honest to ourselves, that we do not profess it only by word, but in our actions.
Okay.
And he also called for a sacred union when this crisis was escalating, of course, caused mostly by the poor management of the CPDM.
Okay.
He called for a sacred union, and I want to call on the attention of the head of state here and those so-called the intellectuals that are following us, that it is time for that sacred union. Let us come together as one people, look our problems as a people. See that these people that are saying that there is a problem, is there a problem? Yes. If there's a problem, how can we solve this problem? Honestly,
Okay.
in love. That is a sacred union we are talking about. We are not talking about sacred union to come and protect the mandate of somebody or protect the position of somebody. We need to protect the life of fellow Cameroonians and the well-being of fellow Cameroonians. And we should understand that we are people with a very temporal existence on earth, and for the short time that we have,
Okay.
we should love ourselves, because love cuts across political lineage, tribal lineage, and what have you.
Thank you very much, Chi Jodoni. We are struggling to get to Mr. Bernard Ngalim, who is on Skype. I don't know if our technical team is there already with him, but if he's not there yet, we'll start with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, we are looking at the war that has been on from 2016 till date. With every day, we count the number of people killed, either by bullets, by natural factors because they were displaced from their original area of habitat, by lack of food. Some maybe because of the political situation, they find themselves in prison. A lot of, effects as far as this conflict is concerned. We have Anglophone scholars and Francophone scholars. You are someone who is well grounded and rooted when it comes to interacting with scholars of both Anglophone and Francophone. From your perspective, from your perspective, do you think that they see things from the same prism, the Anglophones and the Francophone, as far as this conflict is concerned?
Thank you very much. This country is really very, very divided. As you know, I think we have about 250 tribes or something like that. And then
more tribes keep adding.
Yes, that's right. And then we have about 350 political parties. So, come to think about it, there's a lot of noise, all right? There's a lot of noise, but there's very little that is concrete. And what you call intellectuals, be they Anglophones or Francophones, you are only an intellectual if you can actually articulate problems, solve problems, and then you match up with who we call intellectuals elsewhere. But if you just go to school and school doesn't go through you, and you come out and you're no use to your community, you're not an intellectual. You're more of a problem. And I still remember this this posting that Governor Abaka Mahamat, I think he had it on his door or on his table or something. He asked the question, are you the problem or are you the solution? Are you the problem or are you the solution? We might want to ask the question, why do we want to go to school? We go to school so that we come out as people who bring solutions. But you get the impression that most people who go to school and end up as civil servants or end up doing whatever, they are part of the problems. They are part of the problem. They create more problems. The 350 political parties are supposed to be bringing solutions, but you see that they just create more problems. They brew problems. It looks like we just like brewing problems. And even before we started our program, if you notice, there was another program that just ended, and there was one guy, one CPDM guy on the plateau here, you know, insulting Anglophones. And I know about 2 or 3 of them, all of the CPDM, I'm of the CPDM, who insult Anglophones. You can tell that they are not cultured. It's not a war of Francophones versus Anglophones. It's not. But you see people, and hungry people can do very funny things. In fact, it's hunger. Hungry people who are looking.
But they will tell you that Dr. Nick, they will tell you that they are aligning themselves to the constitution of the country as of 1990, when the freedom of mass communication was launched, and freedom of speech, and
party discipline.
No, forget about that. Forget about that. It's very, very unfortunate. It's very, I feel like crying, honestly, because when you see some of these intellectuals or people in power, when they make stupid statements, people pay in the regions with their lives. You know, the violence goes up over there. And that is what this thing called Bilingualism and Living Together Commission, that's what it was supposed to be working on. But you get the impression that they are lost somewhere, and it's full of intellectuals, by the way. You get the impression that they are lost somewhere. They couldn't care. It looks like they don't know what is hate speech and what is love speech. They only sure about communicate. We are going to have a seminar or something, or some arete to. I don't know what's wrong with you guys. People go on television and are insulting and saying very horrible things about a people, and you are quiet. When you are quiet, know that you are killing people indirectly. You're supposed to stand up. It doesn't matter what it is, and guide the language in the nation. You're paid for that a lot, and you do nothing about it. I know that some of the people who come up with these stupid things are paid by the government, but the government doesn't tell them to say those stupid things. They do it for their own personal reasons, like they say, trying to butter their gari, but they don't know that they're hurting other people.
Want to be more holier than the Pope.
Yes. So when it comes to it's not an Anglophone Francophone thing. It's just an issue of good people versus bad people. People who know the truth versus people who tell lies. It's not about the CPD or anything. You have all these liars everywhere in every party. It's just so unfortunate that we don't know what it takes to be a human being, and we just say about anything. You light the fires with your mouth, and the point is, you light the fires with your mouth, you don't go and sit there somewhere very quietly, but some other person gets killed because of what you said. It's just so unfortunate. I don't know how I'm getting emotional. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Ningwanyam will be coming back to you alongside the other members of the panel. But let's go to Mr. Ngalim. Mr. Ngalim, I don't know if you're there and if you're watching us. Happy Sunday to you. A privilege to have you.
Happy Sunday, Jarvis.
Mr. Ngalim, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm getting you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the program this morning, and unfortunately I couldn't make it in time. I'm sorry to be here late today. Like I said, it's a privilege to be on the program and sharing the panel with Jedoni and Dr. Nick. I'm happy that we are talking about a very important point, because sometimes we ignore the main reasons for which we fall into conflict, and these main reasons circle on 2 parts. one, on the truth, as Dr. Nick has said, and secondly, on those who instigate lies or those who tell lies from a position of authority that hinders the process of justice and peace. So these are the fundamental reasons for which we are where we are today. And we actually hurt people from a position of authority, because once you consider yourself a scholar and once society considers you a scholar, you are considered an expert in the field. And when you are an expert in the field, what you say sometimes or most often is considered of great value. And we saw people who took to television and spread information that led us to where we are today, that led us to war.
Okay, so, let me ask you my question.
A very fruitful conversation here.
Yeah, Mr. Ngalim, you look at this conflict from different perspectives, but I want to get your view now. Do you believe that the Anglophones and the Francophone scholars see things from the same prism? And if not, how can we make sense of the fact that people who are bona fide Cameroonians from their bi-jural and bicultural nature, understand the history of the nation, the values of the nation, maybe it could be seeing things from different perspectives, or are seeing things from the same prism, but yet cannot make meaningful steps for us to address the problem in resolving it?
Yeah, you know, Jarvis, the first problem I see is the system of education. The Cameroon history as it is was taught to Anglophones, to Southern Cameroons, whereas it was not taught to Francophones. And one of the important things we should see here is that the history of the Cameroons was even taught after there was a lot of reclamations, after there were a lot of demonstrations by the Southern Cameroonians, that they want the history to be put on the syllabus. Now, from a very basic perspective, we would see that the common man, the common student, will not master the intricacies of the history that has led us to where we are today. But when we start looking at the scholars, those who have spent time reading books, researching the history, coming out and making statements that are inconsistent with the truth or inconsistent with reality and history, we definitely find ourselves where we are. Talking about Anglophone and Francophone scholars, we realize that we are in a situation where some people definitely and intentionally come out making statements that are inconsistent. For instance, we've heard a lot from Dr. Jodene Esomba about his solutions to the crisis, and he appeared on a sister television channel very often with another professor, Professor Matthias Ngeni Owona, who spread a lot of hate, a lot of diversions, a lot of inconsistencies, and he claimed to be talking from a position of authority. When this conflict just started, he would use terms that would incite hate in people, that would divert attention from the real causes of the problem, and take people to destinations that could only lead to conflict. And that is where we are today. And on the other hand, we had Anglophone scholars who recognize the problem, but they would not stand to face the problem as it is. They would not stand to face the reality as it is. Maybe for political reasons. I shouldn't be saying maybe. For political reasons, they wouldn't say the problem as it is. I remember I shared this panel sometimes ago with Professor Elvis Ngolengole, who said there was nothing wrong with the 1972 referendum simply because Ahidjo had the power to use it, and he used it the way he wanted to use it. And I asked the question, is that not dictatorship? And would you approve of dictatorship because you have power, or because you are a professor, and because you are of a particular political party? So scholars come out and make statements depending on, one, their origins as in where they are from, the part of the country where they are from, the history that they study, and where they are at the moment. And they also, and politics also guides their statements. So basically what I'm saying is that Francophone scholars have played a very negative role in this conflict, though we have a few exceptions who have stood up and have said, this is the problem, we need to talk to these people, we need to respect the right to self-determination of these people. And then the Anglophone scholars who kind of move away from the reality are mostly members of the CPDM because they are protecting something in the CPDM. So, and when you look at the CPDM, it is fashioned in in a Jacobinistic philosophy, where the president of the party is the overall boss.
Mr. Ngalim, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam is from the CPDM, but he doesn't see things that from that prison. When you say CPDM, is it all the CPDM members that see things from that same prison? Why is Dr. Nick not seeing from the same prison? Because he has been advocating for confederation.
Exactly, Jarvis. I appreciate Dr. Nick Ngwanyam's middle line position when it comes to this conflict, and I think he's born out of what we call the exception. He's an exception in the CPDM because he takes positions that we wonder if he is a member of that political party. And the reason is because Dr. Nick Ngwanyam has always said, and he maintains it, and he has said it this morning, that his father, the cardinal, the cardinal had a position that he would adopt on these issues. The cardinal has always stood on the middle ground. The cardinal has always had positions that irrespective of the truth, he must speak them, or irrespective of the political climate, he must speak them. And Dr. Ngwanyam appears to be coming from that perspective. So we would say he is part of the exception we have been talking about. There is always a tiny minority that moves away from the majority. And I really wonder if he's of the CPDM anyway.
We'll be coming back to you, Mr. Ndiwum. Now, I want to ask you the same question. The conflict has been on for 2016 till date. The scholars, we are talking about those who understand the deontology of education, the historical background, those who understand facts as it is, those who define policies and theories of academic policies and theories and societal policies and theories. Can we for sure say that the Anglophone scholars and the Francophone scholars, do they see things from the same prism? If yes, why do we still have the same merry-go-round crisis before for Baghdad we have? If no, what could be the reasons?
Jarvis, I want to look at it from my own angle. I hope I say it right. You see, I want to start by asking a question. You have asked me a question. Who do we consider as a scholar in the first place? Because we are in a situation where when we want to define a scholar, it is somebody who has attained an achievable level of education and aptitude that can be appreciated in a particular community or in the society at large. And that got to do with solving immediate problems of those who exist in such communities. That's the definition of who a scholar is. Now, I will separate these scholars, Francophone, Anglophone scholars. I start with the Anglophone so-called scholars. But before I go there, you have to know that in Cameroon...
No, before you go there, my question is, do they see things from the same prism?
No, they don't see from the same prism. And I explain why they don't see from the same prism. You know that the different political affiliations, hunger, like Dr. Nick said it, everybody wants to protect his piece of bread. And you discover that, like in the advertorial of your TV, people have been questioning why your TV choose to take out only where I said Anglophone elites are very dishonest people, and I'm repeating it today. You see, there is something wrong, because you cannot sell your brother to a buyer and then you expect the buyer to trust you. That's where the Anglophone scholars have failed. You can't sell your brother to a buyer and then expect that buyer to trust you. Never. It can't work. Now, I consider that Anglophone scholars who are suffering from the ailment of intellectual dishonesty, because most of them who even came out from the beginning to say there was no crisis, after all, most of them who said there were no crisis, we still question their academic standing in this country till today. I don't want to go into that. Most of them who said Cameroon has always been one and indivisible till date, we have not seen any of them practically go back to Norwest to stay on the ground and try to fight the war to protect the people, which is very dishonest on their part. Now, to the French scholars, most of them are like they actually went to schools of provocation, school of insult. You see, each time they have the microphone as we are having now,
we have people like and some other persons.
Listen,
who have been there to.
It's proportionate. When you take 100% of the French scholars, 90% will be provocative.
But what
I don't want to.
I want to understand the barometer which you use in defining that percentage, 90%.
Okay.
The unit of analysis that you use to say, okay, 90% of these persons, because the Bilingualism Commission will call that a hate speech.
No, they won't. Bilingualism Commission does not even exist. I have said it to you people time and number. Stop polluting people's ears with things that doesn't exist. What do you mean by there is no Bilingualism Commission in this country? Now, I was saying that you are asking for barometer now, and that's another question. It's so simple. As a patriot in your country, you need to keep an eye and to be very keen in the day-to-day happenings in your country, and that includes listening and following whosoever says about the immediate and the recent happenings in your country, and that is what we have been doing. So, like I was saying, it's like they went to some school of provocation, so they don't see the crisis from another prism. Because if they were to see it from another prism, Jarvis, what is causing these people to stand up from the other 8 regions of Cameroon, come out with a coalition for peace to fight on behalf of the people of Norwest? I have often said, if the other 8 regions of Cameroon actually believed in one and the indivisibility of Cameroon as the national anthem of CBDM puts it, you should have known that if, as we are talking today, the 8 regions of Cameroon decides to share the pain of the people of Northwest and Southwest, they rise up tomorrow morning and say, look, this war got to stop. Jarvis, it will stop. But they are not looking at it. They see that it is the problem of the Anglophone. Let me tell you that what Dr. Nick said a while ago, a CBDM member said on this television channel that the people of Northwest do not want peace, that they are for war, and that is more provocation, because we know what these people go through every day. So these scholars, I want to tell you that the problem of Northwest and Southwest, where we are now, is above PhD and doctorate degrees.
Okay.
What we need at the moment, Jarvis, it is no longer the role of scholars. It is the role of all Cameroonians under the place of goodwill. In the absence of all Cameroonians speaking the same voice and with goodwill, scholars, intellectuals, they have all failed.
Okay. Mr. Your party of the Social Democratic Front, we've had a kind of different view when we had the party, the second vice president, chairman or president, second vice chairman, in the person of Honorable Joshua O.C. signed a petition, joined the rest of the CPDM members to say that yes, let us look for those who are causing trouble in the northwest and southwest region. The host nation should repatriate them. It was a problem within your party, and the same issue as far as federation is concerned. People will say that your party are visibly divided, especially in the context where Honorable Joseph Wilbur was not supported based on the fact of the dreaded article that you people have. I think it's Article 6. Now, with all of these rolling in question, can we say that the SDF itself doesn't see things from the same prism as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned? Because if you have the second vice chairman, he's saying that, hey, up till now he has not withdrawn the signature where your party sat and said, okay, he should take away the signature. If the SDF itself, founded in 1990 in Bamenda, cannot see things from the same prism, what do we expect of the other 9 regions?
Well, it is important for you to make a distinction between the position of the SDF and the position of an individual. It's very important. Because if you are talking about the SDF is one. We're a senior political party. And our line of action is being guided by our constitution. And when it comes to one man on at the national level, we are talking about the national chairman. And the national chairman, you know him very well, His Excellency John Frundi. So if you want to talk about the position of the SDF, you take it from those two perspectives. What is the national chairman saying? What is the constitution of the SDF saying?
The national chairman said, at the time Honorable Joseph Weber said, I am the warrior, so at that time he was speaking on himself. And at the time Weber had foretold the government about the danger of not handling this conflict.
Well, when he says Wilbur was talking for himself, you want to disagree with him. Wilbur was not mandated by the SDF to make that statement.
So does mean that the SDF is looking at the conflict from different prisms?
No, we are not looking at the conflict from a different prism. The SDF position is very clear. At the National Assembly, we took position. When they met, the parliamentarians of the SDF met at the residence of the national chairman in Bamenda, the declaration that was read there was read by Honorable Wilbur, mandated by his colleagues, his peers in parliament. So if Honorable Wilbur made some declarations, like you are telling me that the national chairman said, at that point in time, he was speaking for himself. The chairman is being very factual to you to tell you that we did not ask him to go this way. And in the SDF, we also know that people have the right to their opinions. Wilbur has the right to his opinion, and that is one of the virtues of the SDF, that we allow people to express themselves the way they want to. But anyway, meanwhile you express yourself, you should have a full measure of the consequences of your expression. Because as we talk today, the warrior of Oso is not around.
Because he said his arrest, people ordered for his arrest, and the party could not stand to defend him at the time he needed the party most. And even till there, we've had Wilbur different position. Wilbur starting the conflict, stating that something is happening out there. If you don't handle it well, it's something that will bring down Cameroon. And he was not supported by his party because he was talking under the mandate of the people because he was elected and was representing his people. And he say he was speaking for himself. I don't understand this nuance where someone elected by the people speak on, and they get to the restroom, speak on behalf of the people, and the party says no. He was talking on behalf of, he was talking as Wilbur. Therefore, it means that people who are in the National Assembly from the SDF perspective are talking on behalf of themselves and not the party.
Since he was talking on behalf of the people, you should ask the people to protect him. Why are you not asking by the SDF to do the protection?
So it means that SDF is seeing the conflict from different prisons.
Listen, sir. The position of the SDF is the position that is official, which is being guided by the leadership of the national chairman, and by the text, by our name resolutions. That is the position of the SDF. People have their different ways of expressing the way they feel about the situation on the ground. But we have been very methodic, guided by some principle. Now, when you ask us to protect Honorable Wilbur, we are of the democratic option. Now, when you say you're a warrior, I don't know whether you have your gun. How do I protect you as a civilian? What is happening in the northwest and southwest there? Can a civilian say that he can receive the bullets of somebody who is holding the gun? I don't know how you put it. So, and to say that the SDF openly said that we are against Wilbur, we are against this, there is nothing like that. We have not said such a thing. But he said he was a warrior. Not so. I don't know whether he's on the battlefield now. Or is it that he ran away because he never had protection? Those that are on the battlefield, they have all the protection to be on the battlefield. As politicians, we make measured statements. Each time, and I want to be very clear on this, for Cameroonians that will listen to us and they may sound very controversial. Each time a politician asks you to go and do something, ask that politician, can I go with your son, sir? Can I go with you? If that politician cannot accompany you or send his child to go with you, you think twice. Because I would not personally like to engage people in what I cannot stand in front of. Because if I'm a leader, I should lead the initiatives in which I believe in. So, that said, the whole debate on the positions of Honorable Weber and Honorable OC, it should not be an option. And I want to point a little correction to make. Honorable OC is the first vice president.
Okay, now the first vice, if the first vice, the flag bearer of the party, signed a petition, joined the CBDM.
Not flag bearer, sir.
He was a flag bearer of
2018 elections have passed.
The flag bearer of 2018 election, the first vice president means that after the chairman, he sits in. If that same first vice president who understands the party's position as far as the country is concerned could go ahead and sign a petition, and the party will sit and say, okay, withdraw your signature. Till date that signature has not been withdrawn. Is SDF not looking at this conflict?
Let me come back to the next resolutions were very clear. We said that, and one of the motives for our decision was that as a parliament, when this problem came up, we held parliament hostage. And for people who are looking at Joshua Osi now, we are in a crisis situation. Sometimes in struggling to handle the crisis, to solve the crisis, we may from time to time take some actions that may be misinterpreted or seen somehow by others. We also have to understand that Joshua Osi was amongst those that held parliament hostage. Okay. He was a cameraman, he was a journalist like you when they were blocking the National Assembly and the CPDM people were running out of the assembly.
Since Wilbur spoke for himself, therefore he was talking for himself now.
Pardon?
It's not right.
But I told you that it was not the party's position. And we held the NEC meeting and we said at the NEC meeting that for this, the reason is simple. As a parliament, this kind of problem is at hand. You as a parliament, you are supposed to talk about this issue before trying to give lessons to a foreign parliament. Okay. If you have a problem in your house for this length of time, you have not talked about it, we think that the prerogative is for the Cameroonian parliament to talk about this issue, and it has always been the SDF stand. So we asked him and the others that use the same energy used to sign that document to cause that problem to come on the floor of parliament. And we still have time, sir. We are still in 2021. That resolution is being followed up, and we will see if that problem is not coming on the floor of parliament within reasonable time limit. The National Executive Committee or the National Chairman will have to take their responsibility. Please, briefly, I want to say something concerning what Dr. Nick said. Dr. Nick said something about many ethnic groups, many political parties. I want to say, sir, that is not the problem. The problem here is around what values are we talking? Do we surround ourselves? What brings us together? Ethnic groups are not a problem. What people are talking about political parties as if it is a creation of Cameroon that there are so many political parties. In the United States, there are so many political parties. Okay. There are so many. You have political parties who are even, they even go in for very streamlined issues like gay. They tell you that we are the gay political party for the gay, we are political party for this, we are political party for that. They exist in the United States. But that is not a problem. Okay, the problem is that we have gone short of values. Okay. And we are at a point in time where the problem of the Cameroonian is not the intellectual. The problem is, what is the so-called intellectual? What decision has he made? Okay. What is he doing with the knowledge he has received? So far, especially the intellectuals of the CPDM, they have proven that they have become intellectuals, they know good and bad, they have decided to act on bad. Okay. For their own interest.
Thank you.
We just need to change the perspective and act positively.
We're coming back to you. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everyone in the studio. The only reason Doctor is able to say the truth to the faces of the elite is that he is successful entrepreneur and employer. He sees and tells the wrong of the elite, but see nothing bad about the head of state. Biya is the proprietor of Cameroon. He acknowledges the fact that the president is very old, but refuses to acknowledge his wrong. We need more entrepreneurs than civil servants so that the level of lies telling by civil servants and politicians can reduce. This other one reads, it says, good afternoon, Jervis. I love this program. You are doing well. Well, we all know SDF has betrayed the Anglophones and will continue to betray the Anglophones. Joshua Osi case is clear evidence of betrayal. Eno Samuel from Douala. This other one reads, it says, the SDF representative is not putting things in order. Honorable Weber was vomited by the party. If it were not like that, he would have stood with him. They would have stood with him, no matter what. This other one, it says, Mr. I hope my contribution will count. I am Marvin Imboya. Mr. Jarvis, the first question of the day. Some people more of Cameroonians than others. This other one, it says, good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis. Greetings to you all in the studio. Philosophically, most Anglophone intellectuals have education of the mind without the heart, and that is why they are unable to speak the truth and give space a chance in Northwest and Southwest. It's coming from Pawefa Gregory in Bamenda. Take on this other one before getting to Dr. Nick. This one says, good afternoon to you in the studio. Good afternoon to you in the studio. My question, I am Peter from Tico. The CPTM member said there is not Anglophone scholars interest of Cameroon. Where is Mr. Nick in power unable to solve? Your message is not clear, please. Thank you very much for your message. Your message has gone through. When you send us a clear message. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, you want to react to what Chi Diodone said, and also to my question to you. When Chi Diodone is talking about the fact that an elected member, Honorable Wiba, representing a constituency, goes on the rostrum and talk about the issue of the country, that is speaking for himself, and that the first vice president, chairman of the party, also acted in conformity from himself and not from the party, but he is representing the vote of the people.
Yeah, that's right. Before we get lost in those things, let me say that we are saying a lot this afternoon, and you've heard me say this before. There's going to be a dialogue, a new dialogue, very different from the major national dialogue. There's going to be reconciliation, and there's going to be unity in this nation. And during that dialogue, I will be asking that SDOs and governors should be voted, not appointed. And there are a couple of things like that. There are a lot of things that we need to change in our country. It's more an issue of strategy. We lack strategy. And the biggest problem we have in the country is because, like I said, our education has not been very good. So you just train people and throw them on the streets, and they all crowd in the civil service. And then those that are better crooks than others, they climb up the ladder. And when they climb up the ladder, they create problems for everyone else, and they lie so that they can stay in place. So we have this bad thing, that is this bad energy that is in the system because of the kind of training that we had in our schools. And so you see, if someone is not a civil servant, if he's not appointed to a place, he cannot feed his family. That's the biggest problem. So people begin to lie to be able to eat. Now, before again I answer your questions, let us keep reminding ourselves about the problems we have in the nation. What is the list of those problems that we have in the nation that elites and everybody ought to be facing squarely? And I will also say that, President Paul Biya had prescribed rigor and moralization. That charge has not been respected, and we are going to go back to it soon. There's no way we are going to run away from rigor and moralization. If we run away, we'll never solve our problems. The first problem that we have in our country that is really killing the nation is the Anglophone problem. We have to solve that problem, and the sooner the better. So problem number one is Cameroon is the Anglophone problem. Problem number two is the youth problem. The youths in this country are poorly looked after. And when you say youths in this country has nothing, there are no Francophone youths and Anglophone youths. Youths are youths, and all of them are not faring well. They are not faring well. We have not given them the tools to be able to survive, and their lives are messed up. If we don't solve the Anglophone problem very quickly and then address ourselves to the youth problems, when the youth will rise up, the problems, what you are calling an Anglophone problem, will be nothing. That will be real war and chaos. So we had better be doing what is right and doing it very quickly and solve the problems of the youth. Let's keep all these things that we going from political party arguing and insulting each other, while there is another pot that is boiling that would be very messy. And when the youth problem comes, it has nothing to do with any political party. Then, of course, there's bad governance. bad governance. I will say it, bold it, underline it. And then we have a poor agriculture. I mean, of course, our mothers are working. We think we have agriculture. No, we have the best rains, the best soils, and what have you. But our agriculture as of now is very poor. I would say primitive, and our economics is also bad. Forget about that 4% growth, all of that. You cannot be selling tree trunks and then you think your economy is improving. No, it's bad economy. You have a good economy when you have the capacity to transform water into wine, when you are adding value to things. When you're just cutting tree trunks and selling, even if you sold the whole forest and got a lot of money in your coffers, it's not a good economy. And then, of course, poor industry. Now, that said, I just wanted to paint this picture so that I don't get lost. You see, when I'm trying to answer your question, these are the things that are guiding me. I don't just answer questions for the sake of answering them. And we have said that all these things like that, a bad situation is met was by a bad education. And that's why if we don't change our education in this country, we're not going to go anywhere. I'm sure we're going to have an occasion to come back to I would like to have you guys back. So we discuss what kind of education we really need.
I think next week Sunday we
we should do that.
Yes, next week Sunday we can look at the system of education.
Yes, we talk about education.
And what can be done.
Yes, and because this is a TV on satellite. Though what we will be saying about education in Cameroon obtains from most African countries. Even what we are talking here about this war, it's the same. I mean, people from other nations can benefit from what we are saying here. Because now back to your question.
Yeah.
My
question
again.
was, Mr. Dieudonné talked about the fact that an elected MP representing his constituency on the restroom is talking on himself, Honorable Weber, and that the first vice chairman of the party who signed a communique, we understand that administration is written. At least it can be referenced, that letter can be referenced, stating the fact that the host country should repatriate those who are causing trouble in Cameroon, that these people are talking on themselves. Is it not a clear proof that even Anglophones themselves are seeing things from a different prism?
Yeah, let's not talk about OC, because the first time I was on TV with OC was when Mr. Harrison Tamfo was still working at Equinox, and I was with him as a guest, and I listened to him very carefully. You know, that day I asked him some tough questions that he never answered, and I don't think he will ever answer. But if you watch him, not that I'm close to him, but at least I watch him from a distance, he has a kind of arrogance which is not very healthy. Yes, he's very arrogant. I hope you're listening to me. You're very arrogant, and that arrogance is not helping at all. If you had the humility of Chairman Frundi, you know, you could have helped him. You could have helped him, but this, I don't know how to say it, but arrogance is something.
No, I want to get this clear, Doctor. So, is it not proof that even us and more Anglophones, we don't see things from the same place?
No, don't put it like that, because if you put it like that, you put chi in a very hot in a hot shoe. I mean, you're putting Chi in a hot shoe. Doesn't make sense. Chi is a very great guy. I mean, I wish you were leading that party. I mean, I'm a father, and I have children. And all my children don't behave the same. You would have 6 children, but one of them is going to mess you up big time. So just because one of your children messes you up, you know, sometimes you just have to sell them to the winds and to the devil and say, okay, that comes from the devil.
Dr. Nick, now my last question to you before moving to Ms. Angalim and coming back to others, as far as this same topic is concerned, is can these same scholars on Northwest and Southwest, Francophone and Anglophone, provide meaningful solutions?
No. What is the problem with our scholars? It's about your education and your values. There was a voice clip that was circulating on social media. I sent it. I'm sure probably you listened to it.
Yeah.
This voice clip, and I'm sure many people listened to it. And if you didn't, if you haven't listened to it, during the burial of this young man, there's a young man who was just killed with a white Prado in Bamenda. I don't know his name again. Below Foncha, Jibril. During the burial of Jibril, the Muslim scholar or their priest or whoever who preached, he said some very powerful things that I've never heard. And he was just speaking to the people. And he was just speaking some truths about life. And he was very clear about it. I wonder whether you heard that. But you heard it, right? Yeah. If all of us, I'm begging everybody, if all of us can listen to what this young Muslim said, be you Christian, be you a Muslim, be you an animist, is what again, a pagan or whatever, Buddhist or whatever, because he was just speaking truth about life and death and who God is, giving us the core issues. And that's what all these our elites and scholars and professors and ministers and what have you are supposed to be doing. He puts everything in perspective. He said, I mean, I can just rephrase, young people, when you are young, worship God. When you are healthy, worship God. When you are rich, worship God. When you still have life in you, worship God. And he was taking the advantage from this Jibril because he said a week ago Jibril had come there with somebody to bury. And now we're all gathered there burying him. And he was just trying to make us see what life and death is all about, and was bringing the real truth about life to us. And we get carried away with I have a PhD in it, I'm a doctor in this, I'm a minister of this bullshit. I am a this, I am a this. That has got no place. If God has given you something, it's not for you. If God has put it in your hand, it's so that you help people with it. Don't get carried away. If you are a minister today, it's not for you and your family. It's so that you help the president to solve the problems of the nation and you stop causing problems. Be you Anglophone or Francophone, a day will come when you will pay a very high price. I'm telling you, watch my lips.
Okay. Ms. Angalim, are you there with us?
Yes, Jarvis.
Can the scholars, the Anglophone scholars and the Francophone scholars, can they provide or propose meaningful solutions in resolving this conflict? Dr. Nick said he doesn't believe they can, and I don't know if you see things too that they can provide meaningful solutions to resolve this conflict.
Yes, Jarvis, I think the conversation has opened a can that we need to redefine. Because when we're talking about scholars here, personally, I would not consider a politician of a political party to be a scholar. I expect scholars to be people who have objective values.
For example, to cue you in, when we talk about scholars, we have top professors in universities, political science in the University of Boya, University of Bamenda, we have University of Douala, University of Yaoundé 1 and 2, Gandere, Polytechnic, top professors who are even teaching at international level. We have the ERIC, and these are scholars. These are people who define policies, educational policies, who define theories. But seemingly, can they not be able to sit and come together, the scholars, the different scholars, and say, hey, this is a solution, these are proposals? But yet, are they silent?
Yes, Jarvis, once a scholar taints his scholarly ability by aligning with a political party or with the ideology of a particular political party, that scholar stops being a scholar and becomes a politician. And politicians, by natural definition, are people who are seeking for personal power and personal wealth. They don't even think about the population. Even though they'll come and stand and say they're thinking about the population, they don't. They're thinking about themselves. But that said, it's possible for scholars to sit down and propose solutions. But what is the problem? We are talking of a situation where the government will not let anyone do anything. Cardinal Toomey was trying to put together this all-Anglophone conference, but he could not because the government would not want that to happen. So if you want to take scholars who are not aligned with political parties, for instance, if you want to bring Professor Victor Fanso, you want to bring Professor Zengwa, all amongst themselves, without any government interference, government will not let that happen. But government would rather prefer to bring in PhDs and doctors who have been tainted by political affiliations. People like the Ngolengolais and the Guinea owners, government would prefer to have them sit down and talk. But these people cannot provide solutions to the current crisis because they will be forced to toe the line of their party or the line of the ideology they are following. And let's not forget, we need to always discuss this conflict within some theoretical framework. And that framework is, in 1961, there was a plebiscite, and in 1972, there was a referendum, which, of course, before then, there is a long history, a history that made the two Cameroons two different people that came together. Any scholar who doesn't recognize that the construct of Cameroon as of today, as of 1961, are two people under international law who came together to form that construct, to form that nation, is not helping the situation. And when we watch them on TV, they kind of sweep away the history that existed before 1961 and want us to concentrate only on the history that started in 1961, which is, again, it is faulty. But we need to come back to the realization that politics and truth sometimes or most often run parallel. They don't run together. And this takes me to the situation in the SDF. When OC makes a statement that the party's hierarchy or members of the party are not happy with, OC is on its own. When Wilbur makes a statement that the party is not happy with, Wilbur is on his own. He made that statement on his own. OC made that statement on his own. But we need to come back to reality again. Why was the SDF founded? The SDF was founded because of the problems in the southern Cameroons. The SDF was founded to resolve these problems, not to resolve, but to push for a resolution of these problems. But along the line, all the founding fathers, the Ngwasiris, the Anyangwes, the Asonganyis, all we know them, they were booted out of the party when the party changed its ideology to adopt what they called a national party. And from that national party, we now see somebody like Mayonjong, when he could not be member of, he could no longer be mayor, the CPDM easily adopted him. We look at Professor Paul Nkui. He's appointed into the Constitutional Council using the same principles that the SDF criticized from day one. But we have not heard the SDF come out to say, okay, we do not agree with Professor Paul Nkui's acceptance of the appointment into the Constitutional Council. We do not agree with Mayor Jong's appointment into a reconstruction commission that is not going to reconstruct anything during war. So if we're talking about scholars, let us talk about those people who look at the problem from the way it is, define solutions as they are from the foundations. We should stop looking at people who talk about superficial things.
Okay.
Yes, Jarvis.
Thank you. We're coming back to you, Jarvis. Happy Sunday. I write to confirm that our Francophone scholars do not see the crisis from the same prism. I am a teacher of history east of the Mongo, and in one of my classes, we were looking at the causes of the Anglophone crisis, and one of my students from a Francophone background told me that the people of Northwest and Southwest choose to be sleeping in the bushes. This is, to me, was a reflection of their parents' mind. Sir Edwin Andrew Indwala. Mr. Jarvis, Dr. Nick has been assuring Cameroonians of a real, genuine dialogue, time without numbers, and he has failed to be clear on when this dialogue will hold and lives continue to be lost. Is it when all will have been killed that the dialogue would be convened? If yes, then who then will be the participant of this dialogue? Hello, Mr. Jarvis. CPTM and Cameroon as a whole need more Dr. Nick Ngwanyam and Mr. Misanga Nyamdi within their party to put the country back on track. The other 8 regions cannot go on the street when doing so lead to the dungeon. Max from Germany. I'll come to you, Ndiwum Emmanuel. You want to react before I ask my questions, or I just ask my questions?
I wanted to react a bit. When it comes to talking about SDF is in the past. It is history.
No, but today we are not talking about SDF.
No. Listen. You said something there. You asked me whether I wanted to react. Yes, it's history. So I don't think we should spend a lot of time talking about it or see this and that. We have known, and it is clear that SDF is that party that came up very strong, but since it was used to vomiting out all the potential members of that party, it long died. I wanted to react to a message that somebody sent there. which reflects what I said when I took the microphone the first time. You see that most of these people do not see, I love this topic, these people from the East Cameroon side do not see the crisis through the same prism.
Even the Anglophones, do they even see things on the same prism?
No, I'm coming. I already said it, that they don't see it like that. And it goes to what I don't want to go back to it, because you see parties fighting, they don't even know what they want again. You see, even within their party, they cannot put themselves together, but they want to talk about a national case. Whereas just in a single room, they cannot sit together quietly and solve their problem. That is why Cameroon is where it is today. Then, Mr. Jarvis, I stated it clear. Scholars or intellectuals, this problem is above political party. It is above scholars and whatsoever. I will prove you. Why do I maintain that it is above them? If you look at what happened in Yaoundé some time ago, the CBDM monologue that ended up, it was a CBDM monologue.
I just want the audience to understand the same that you are talking about, the national.
Yes, call it whatever.
Okay.
But I think it was a CBDM monologue. You see, when the Funchas in the 1961 went to Fumba, they were not having PhDs, but they came out with at least a federation. People went to the national monologue in Yaoundé with PhDs, doctorate. They came out with an empty basket,
special status,
called a special status. And
the first party
that defended this special status was SDF. That's why you see me die on them like this. You see, the problem that we have in Northwest and Southwest now, the only way out is goodwill. People of goodwill. People who use the truth. People who reconstruct history. Where history was disconnected from the people. If the people are able to reconnect it, and then the two parties says, I failed here, I failed here. We all accept that this is where we went wrong. Then we come to the table with clean hands and with truth. We can have our way out. But to keep thinking that scholars or intellectuals would do, no, and you understand that even some of these people with these PhDs, doctorate in Cameroon, it always suffices that you join the CBDM in the morning and in the afternoon you are already having a doctorate degree. That one is not a hidden, it's not a hidden truth. We know
about the allegations you are
listen.
raising?
We have one arrogant fellow who died in Boya in the name of a mayor called Kmer.
No.
Kmer was having a case.
That's not an his situation is different. His situation is different based on the fact that his situation was not on the fact that he did not defend it or he did not have his master's. It was based on the admission from the beginning, not on his defense. He defended his thesis. I was there on his defense on his thesis when he attended the classes. No. It's not issue of advanced level.
Whatever the case. Yes, I extend my point that I don't want us to hang on these big big titles, PhD, because PhDs, like Dr. Nick always says, does not solve problems. It is the personal capacity and the ability of an individual who understands the problems of his community and is able to solve it that makes you an intellectual.
Okay. So now, briefly,
yes,
can these people provide answers to this conflict?
I'm just telling you, Tama Jarvis, that they cannot provide a solution.
Okay. Thank you.
They cannot.
Jodene, you've listened to the members of the panel. I want to ask you this. The special status was one of the appraiser or one of the most truncated song your party chanted that let's give it a chance. The special status is coming and let's see what we got till date. The special status, many are still saying that we witnessed one of the councillors in Kokitunja who blasted the regional assembly and stated that they were coming there thinking that it will be something that will be free and fair, but that the agenda was imposed on them. They could not talk about some basic issues, and he lambasted on a wide range of issues. And do the SDF still stand? The SDF, is still standing on the special status, or probably did they see that there is a way in which this crisis can be resolved in the nearest future?
Well, before I say a thing, I want to say that as the debate has been going on and following what I'm hearing from Cameroonians, I understand the level of expectations Cameroonians have with respect to the SDF. You see, sometimes I sit and my shoulders go down because I see myself as part of the solution, and I see the weight that it takes to be able to bring that solution. I see the urgency with which Cameroonians, with which I myself, I need that solution. And when I see the criticism that is being labeled on the SDF, good ones which are constructive, without insult, beyond every other interpretation, I understand that it's because the Cameroonian people still look very much up to the SDF, and the expectations are high. And I want to reassure Cameroonians once more, as I've always done, that more and more we are taking a full measure of the weight of this responsibility. And by the grace of God, we will sit up and do that which it takes within possible limits, as we have done in the past, to make sure that we bring solutions to the problems of our people. That said, I want to make it very clear. The position of the SDF with respect to the so-called Anglophone crisis that is taking place, the SDF has always stood, and the 31st anniversary message of the national chairman was very clear. When the national dialogue was called up, the SDF made some recommendations which would have helped us to be able to have a good dialogue. Now, those that have prerogative of public power who think that because they have the military and all that, they have to determine everything, they gave us a deaf ear, and the national chairman said that what is happening now is proof that that national dialogue failed. And it didn't fail because we did not tell them the truth as a party. We went in there and we told them the truth. Many of you people, journalists who saw it, you saw how when the chairman mounted the rostrum and he was talking, you saw how he was being jeered.
He was quashed.
Yes, because he was saying what they don't like to hear. And we made our case. When we came out from the national dialogue on the 6th of October, the national chairman issued a press release taking position for the Canadian model. When they talked about the special status, we took position for the Canadian model. And I want it to be very clear to Cameroonians. When you talk about federation, it's not only that your name, the name of your country should be the Federal Republic of this, the Federal Republic of this. You can be functioning in a federal manner without even without even talking about federation. The simple thing about federation, the idea is that the management of a country obeys the top-bottom, the bottom-top approach, and not the top-bottom approach. In decentralization, which is in effect centralization, except Dr. Nick will prove the contrary here, decentralization is in effect centralization because
he doesn't even want to
no, for now he is in the CPDM.
But with the difference, he's the founding father of Confederation.
Yeah, he has his
from when the conflict started, he has not shifted his position.
No, he's not a founding father of Confederation. He takes position for Confederation, and it is his right. But for now, he is in the CPDM, so he assumes the casket of the policy of the CPDM. So, what we are saying is that Dr. Nick knows pertinently that decentralization is centralization, because decentralization simply means that the central authority.
I want us to be
central authority.
Clear now.
Yes.
Are you sure you are the one imposing now decentralization on Dr. Nick?
No, he is of the CPDM. If he is a confederalist party, he should tell you which party is his own. Confederation is. That's why I told you that you should make a distinction between the opinions of people
like
and the official opinion.
Are you sure you are not using the oldest form of witchcraft? Like somebody said, you are giving Dr. Nick a position which he is not of that position.
No, if Dr. Nick is telling the world that he is not more of the CPDM, he has the opportunity here to say it. Because the CPDM has a political ideology.
Which is
what he is holding for Confederation is his opinion. And I'm telling you that the ideology that he's talking about, that he supports in the CPDM, called decentralization, is centralization. It is centralization. It is the head of state that determines everything. And okay. Dr. Nick, he's playing around. He's talking about ministers who are not doing this, who are not doing that. I appreciate that, but sir, Mr. Paul Biya, the president, is the #1 employee of the Cameroonian people. There is a sense in which he has primordial responsibility, principal responsibility. That is why the national chairman of the SDF said, sir, step in personally and handle this problem.
Okay.
You don't go still talking about ministers when the man who is delegating part of his power to the minister, you tell him that he is not responsible. I want, please, just very brief. You took part of my time. You were discussing when I was talking. I want to say it very briefly. The position of the SDF is that the preconditions we brought in for the dialogue, for a good dialogue to hold in this country, still stand, as was in the National Chairman's anniversary speech. And we are looking forward to have Cameroonians come together and be able to talk their minds, guided by 3 principles. Truth, justice, and love. That is the position of the SDF. And we are also saying that, I am saying here personally that, if Cameroonians have been radicalized to the stage at which it is now, it is because the people have failed. It is because those that govern have failed. And if those that govern have failed, it's not because they don't know the truth. It's because they don't have the will, the political will to do the truth.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis. Dialogue cannot solve the Anglophone crisis. What do I mean by dialogue cannot solve this crisis? Among the non-state armed groups, they have 5 presidents, some standing in for federation, some for the republic. If the dialogues among themselves, they come out with one leader or president, I hope Pobia will dialogue with them. Even with the dialogue, no one can take back. Okay, your message is clear. This other one says, PhD in Cameroon is simply pull him or her down. It's coming from Salt Clement. This one read, it says, the administration and running of Cameroon is based on lies. That's why we have more intellectual, dishonest scholars, despite their mastery of the country's history and problems. This explains why promotion in the civil service is based on how powerful you can manipulate, tell lies, and intimidate. The system needs to be genuine for the interest of man, where we are to be served, not to serve. Our administrators is coming. This one is coming from an anonymous sender. Good afternoon to you all in the studio. The topic is very good one. On my humble opinion, I will want to say that from the origin of Anglophone problem was created by Anglophones. I mean the Foncha and the rest. I won't go into the detail because we have got no time to resolve this problem. I think the United Nations should be better place to do so for all political parties. I think they are out of their personal interest. For especially the SDF and CPT, and thank is coming from Sir Brissan in Yaoundé. This one read, it says, good afternoon in the studio, happy Sunday. Both Francophone and Anglophone scholars have failed to solve the Anglophone crisis in the northern and southwest region. They keep on cosmeticing an Anglophone problem. They have all philosophies, everything. They always try to justify their act towards innocent civilians in the crisis. We need common faith and truth. SDF has proven the worst and incompetent political parties when it comes to the crisis. They have put their interests first. Why do SDF run for 2018 presidential election and later on contested the election before the Constitutional Council for cancellation, when they knew that their grounds in north is northwest and southwest, and they were under war? If not, they agreed that would have brought the regime down. This one, Chi Rene from Limbe. Your message was too long because of time constraint. Greetings to you in the studio. Happy Sunday to you. I'm Harrison watching from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Mr. Jarvis, it is very clear that not all Anglophones see the crisis from the same prism that's why Dr. Wilbur and that of SDF are different. Again, I support my brother who said Anglophone elites are dishonest. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, you have been baptized into decentralization by Mr. Chi Diodone, despite the fact that you are a strong advocate for confederation. What way forward do we have for this conflict, and possibly a message to the scholars?
Yeah, and you know, Chi is one of the scholars that I respect a lot. It's just that when you know how to debate yourself, and he's a lawyer, you know, so he knows how to kind of like make you wear a cap that doesn't belong to you. So
you said you have the opportunity now to say whether it belongs to the CPTM or not.
I'm CPTM from morning till evening. Yeah, you know, I became a CPM since December 2008, when she was still in secondary school. So, and you remember, I'm one of the persons who said in that December 2008 that I would be a senator. And when I was saying senator, whether I was going to be senator in the House or not, it was a mindset. When you think as a senator means you bring solutions to the table. Just like I started to talk about the senatorship or senator when there was no cloud in the horizon. So now I'm also talking about the dialogue when people don't even see it.
As you talked about the COVID.
And the COVID and all those confederations, I can see it long before others see it. So we are going to have a dialogue, reconciliation and unity, and many other things will happen, and we have a lot of peace in the nation. Don't bother about that. The Israelites, I think they were in captivity for 400 years, but after when God wanted the Israelites to go, he had to send Moses to go have a little dialogue with Pharaoh. So don't worry about it, it will come. Now, what was my question
I talked about the message you have for Anglophone scholars.
Message for Anglophone scholars. It's very, very unfortunate. You see, when the
Francophone too.
Yeah. When my brother Simon Tamfo was made the conciliator for the Northwest region, first in the first message I say congratulations, brother. Then in the second message I said only truth and love can save you. If you want to be relevant, it's only truth and love. That's all. And that's the same message I give to everybody. It's good to die honorably than to die, with disgrace. And when you speak the truth, and when you say it in love, and when you respect, and when you have the values of merit, all those things together, those key values, you will preserve life. But when you lie, when you propagate things that are not correct, when you hurt other people and make them who they are not, you will cause death. Physical death, spiritual death, emotional death, and all sorts of deaths. Don't make other people cry because of you. And don't propagate lies because you are hungry. Don't propagate lies because you want something. It will not help you. Watch me. If you cause the death of anybody, knowingly or unknowingly, or out of ignorance, I don't know how to put this. I know God is a very kind God, but don't ask for God's curse on you and your children. If you know what is right, if you know what is just, and you know what is good, and you don't do it because you want food, the Bible says that it would be better a stone were tied on your neck and you are dropped in the deep sea. It's figurative. But try to look back at people who have done that and see how far they went. They didn't go too far. They did not go too far. There are the cries of innocent people out there, the cries of the blood of civilians that has been spilled, the blood of the military that has been spilled. There are so many cries out there. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Okay. It's very important. And before you take the microphone from me, I was going to say something about President Paul Biya. He is a very sad person, if you don't know. He's not as happy as you think he is. He's a very sad person because technically the country is very big. I have a small business, but I can't do everything myself. What if then think of somebody managing the whole nation? Then you give power to a few people, say, help me with this, help me with this, help me with this. And they turn around and they mess you up big time. That's why if you go to the prisons there, it's full of ministers and directors and so on. And I'm sure more are still going to go there after this COVID thing. And so you think he's happy with that? It's very unfortunate that he will trust people and they will mess him up big time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ningwanyam. Mr. Galim, are you there with us?
Yes, Jarvis, I'm with you.
Special message to the scholars of Northwest and Southwest alongside those from the French region. We are seemingly out of time.
Yes, Jarvis, thank you for this singular opportunity. The message that these scholars and politicians need to hear is that the problem is not centralization, it is not decentralization, it is not a federation, it is not a confederation, it is not independence. The problem is the right to self-determination. And the right to self-determination means let people use that right to do what they want and decide their political and economic future. In 1961, the people of the Southern Cameroons exercised their right to self-determination to be where they are today. There is no question for other people to help them make that decision today. They should make that decision by themselves. I have heard my brother Chi talk about the Grand National Dialogue and their proposals for the Canadian model. I think that is out of place. And that is out of place simply because the Grand National Dialogue was not convened with the intention to let the Southern Cameroonians define their future based on their right to self-determination. The government of Cameroon wants to define that right to self-determination, and the SDF is simply helping them do that. And if we are talking about the truth, we're talking about methods that can bring peace, we need to come down to the realities which are very clear. Respect the people of the Southern Cameroon's right to self-determination. Let them decide their political future.
When you talk about right to self-determination, people are confused here because you talk about the fact that it's not independent, it's not federation, it's not confederation, and right to self-determination. Are you talking about the right to determine your economic policies and your educational policies? That's the bi-jural and the bicultural.
The right to self-determination is very simple. It is let people decide their political, economic, legal, educational future by themselves.
That's the bi-jural and the bicultural, the bi-jural and the bicultural nature.
It is for the people to decide if they want to exist in a territory that would have a bi-jural and a bilingual and a bi-whatever nature. It is for the people to decide. That is a right to self-determination. Let the people make their choice by themselves without external influence, without external interference.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ngalin.
Before I give you the mic, Jarvis, I just wanted to clear one point that my brother Chim made, and that point is about expectations that the populations have on the SDF. It's very ambitious and very positive to think that the population is expecting something serious from the SDF. I think that expectation was in the 1990s, and beyond the 1990s, that expectation has dwindled to the effect that the people have lost confidence in the SDF. The SDF actually needs to rebrand. They actually need to reawake. They actually need to do a lot of work to reappear as a political party, talk less of a credible political party. The credibility of the SDF is in crisis. I am not saying this because I lean on any particular side. I'm saying this because it is a reality on the ground. The people are disappointed in the SDF.
We're out of time.
Dr. Chi should not be throwing flowers on the SDF and upon himself. Thank you.
Of course, to every child, the mother is the best cook. Mr. Ngalem, you agree with me with that? That is of the SDF.
I agree with you, but sometimes we need to face reality, you know.
So, the won't be a last one before we go briefly way forward.
Yes, we are talking to scholars and intellectuals of Cameroon, of which...
You are talking to them?
Yes, of which Mr. Bia happens to be one of the scholars and the intellectuals of Cameroon. So I want to think that Mr. Bia should use his intellectual capacity to know that time is no longer on his side. He has come of age. He should quietly step down. Then he can be an advisor, because I have always maintained it is good to preserve the lives of your people and lose your power than to hold power by grip while losing your people. Because when you do so, you shall leave through the back door. And when you leave through the back door, it is not honorary. And when you do so to protect life, you leave and you go to the archives of your country.
Thank you very much, Diwum. Your last word before we go, briefly.
Just to thank my brothers who have reacted before me, The last speaker confirmed the position of the national chairman when he said, I do not want to get to power by shedding blood. He did not grip to power because of his people. As for my brother who is talking about the SDF need to rebrand, I want to salute you, sir. It is a recommendation you are making, and it is well received. In the days ahead, you will see the progress that is being made. But just to reassure Cameroonians that are listening to us that the SDF is more than ever before committed to finding solutions for the present problems. And then again, to make it very clear that the SDF has never been an Anglophone party, the SDF has never been a pressure group and should not be seen as such. And as the way forward is this. I'm saying it, President Paul Biya knows the Anglophone problem better than anybody. The problem is that of political will. They should put aside arrogance, put the people first, embrace the values of love, justice and truth, and of course calling on the Cameroonian youth, because whatever we do now, if the Cameroonian youth do not come up and take responsibility, we may have a solution and it may not be long lasting. The Cameroonian youth should come on deck politically and take their responsibility to make sure that things like this do not happen again.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis and crew members. Please, the young man should stop deceiving people that SDF can solve this problem. They are failed, and we Anglophones are failed, and we do not need them. Frederick from Douala, greetings to you, Jarvis. The truth is that it is not yet time to resolve the crisis. I think when the time comes, we will see things turn around. Let's put our faith in God Almighty. Thank you very much, Galim, for being there. And of course, thank you, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to the dialogue, reconciliation, and unity. Rigor and moralization are going to come back strong.
Thank you very much, June.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Jarvis. And there are people on the field who are saluting your program and you in person. So know that what you are doing here is for the whole world. You are no longer limited to Cameroon.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sir, for receiving me for the first time. My only recommendation, let love lead in all the actions that we will be carrying in the well-being, for the well-being of our people. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. No matter the matter, what matter is your matter. This program will be rebroadcast on Monday at exactly 9:30 p.m. Today at exactly 10:30 p.m. What should matter for you is that stand together for what you believe, work for what must be done, love each other in all that you do. To all my people are one. You can have the same program on our YouTube channel and all of our program here at BT Media Group on our YouTube channel, which is BT Media Group. YouTube channel is BT Media Group. On Facebook, My Media Prime. On Twitter, My Media Prime. Instagram, My Media Prime. Every Sunday, 12 to 1:30 p.m. This program comes live. You can be a member or a participant of this program by contacting me. The number on your screen, I will send you the topic ahead of time. My name is Tamai Jarvis from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Feng Gudong Mbange. Bye-bye.